Aloha. Today I want to make a quick video and reference kind of the storyline of soul trapping. I'm not saying this is how it is or this is what happens after you die or anything. I'm not saying this is just my observation of what soul trapping might be. From a perspective of being in the physical plane and observing the trends and the styles of psychological, physical, and spiritual control that are inherent within the nature of this matrix that we are currently unraveling as existing from everything from the public education system into the fiat currency system, into technology, into NASA and the control grid of the global delusion, and what kind of trends are just in this space. And I don't want to spend too much time on it because it's just like I said, most people already know this stuff, but I just wanted to piece it all together from my observation of like my own journey and my like my grandfather was 102 or 102 right before he passed 2 years ago, and he lost his wife in 1980. So he spent a good time, being by himself, but not necessarily with himself. His grandkids, mostly me and my brother, spent time with him a lot, and we got to explore sort of his mindset and his upbringing, and like where he was thinking, where he was coming from in his thought process. He was always like, oh, you gotta go to school, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. And it was all based upon what he was trained to believe and pass down to his next generation. He was born in 1912. And so seeing his perspective for so many years, and then now living my own perspective and my own observation without being subject necessarily to the depths of the control grid that has been installed from a 1912 perspective all the way up until today, but from after the civil rights movement, and having parents in that time frame, in that journey, that unlocking of realizations of how things are run, and going through my own personal journey of seeing the other sides of reality with our spiritual connections, the ethers, the true history, not the fabricated histories of like just stopping at slavery or the British colonization. And all that stuff is just shallow layers of history to keep us in a fragmented state of mind that still exists underneath the university system control grid. And I just wanted to go through just kind of like how and talk briefly on how each step leads up to distraction and control, and just psychological manipulation that goes into how I would see, or how I could share what people would understand as soul trapping. And if you have a mission, or you have a journey that you are lined up to come here and do on this plane of existence, and then you get here, and then you get caught up in the distractions of the physical reality or the ego or whatever the distraction is. And maybe that is your journey. Maybe that was what you came here to do. Which is why I said the disclaimer in the front. This is not what it is. It's just how I'm just sharing a moment of observation. But maybe a lot of people just came here to experience the ego-driven experience and all that's entailed in that space. But there are people who are undoing or unraveling those programs and going further into themselves and beyond what has been created here as a system of control. So I was referencing that as like soul trapping. If people get caught up in here and they get caught up in this system of self-destruction and illusion, then you're not really experiencing what your maximum potential here. So if we get caught up in an example, and then the argument to that would be, oh yeah, well they came here to do that. Well, the other argument is there are people here who are destroying other people. They came here to destroy other people, then, or trap other people, or lock down other things. I mean, that doesn't sit well with me. So this is why I'm referencing it. And then if I'm aware of this perspective, then I'm going to share it, because there's a frame of thought out there that says, well, just there's people who are a service to themselves, and then there's the people who are a service to others, and even a service to yourself is a service to others, and a service to others is a service to yourself. There's like this whole like circle of involvement. But when it's a self-destructive or a outwardly destructive service to self, then the people who are aware of that space, I see it has a responsibility of saying something about those self-destructive natures or actions and those outwardly destructive natures. Like, you're seeing somebody else destroy somebody else. If you're just sitting there, you're just as guilty. And to see somebody self-destructive is the same thing. So to be part of and to defend a self-destructive illusion and an outwardly destructive illusion is to be involved in the destruction itself. And this is why I share my thoughts at the core, is because I feel this way. And yeah, that's just it. And I just wanted to share like how my my journey, or my observation of the artificial journey, and maybe it'll help some people see some stuff or whatever, but at least it'll be out there. So anyway, the public education system was first for me. Like, the first thing I realized when I was a kid was dreams, and my mom, and my dad, and then the family structure, and then having to like exist in this reality. And school was like ingrained in my head, because your parents always tell you, I mean, it's the biggest deal. It's basically your kid's job. So it's like your first step into the real world is school, whether it's public or private school. But it's basically just the system of indoctrination that if you say anything against this, like, there's so many, like they say public is a civil right and all this, education is not for sale. Like, if anybody says anything counter to how they built this system up, it's like, this is a system of lies. Colonize your mind. So if you say anything about, but it's being presented as something great and good, like, cause some like the same thing when people say, "Oh, you better eat those peas." There's people in Africa, they ain't got no peas. It's the same thing with education. It's you don't eat that education. There's people in Africa that don't have education. It's a whole jacked up, double back psychological grid. And if you say anything counter, if you have anything to say against that, then it's the same way as like saying something against like food or something, like, oh, like you don't want to eat. Like, no, that's not my point. It's like what you're eating is killing you. So public education, the first like elementary school, is to get you to like it. So they got recess, they got field trips, they got all this stuff for your friends, the whole thing locked down in Happy Land. And go to junior high school is just a transition into, they take recess away, transition into high school, which is just to have you conform on a deeper level. Now it's getting serious. Now you're basically in a job. You can get a job at 16, so you're in high school when you're 16. So it's you're basically going into the real world now, and there are consequences to your actions. If you act up, you're not going to just get a little slap on the wrist. You can get in trouble that could affect your entire life. Like if you drop out of high school, oh no. Like, so that whole thing of control is locked in there, to where the fear, this could affect your entire life. So now the fear is implanted, not only with the conformity of your teachers and the security around the school and your principals and all this counselors and all this stuff and prepping for college. It's a design, and the foundation is fear and conformity. And you're meant to like it because it's for you. There's some people all over in the rest of the world who don't have that. So even though they're telling you straight up blatant lies, then you get to go to college if you're lucky, if you got money, and do it again for another 4 years. And if you don't got the money, you could do like I did, go into the military, which was just another deeper layer of controls, like formalized control and manipulation in the whole scheme of the global control. And then it locks down your mind and your soul even further. And it's just further, you're getting further and further away from your soul. Like you're just swimming in the ego-driven society, stealing your time away. Like your time is just getting ripped away, and you're being told consistently that you are your ego. You are not the soul. You are, in fact, any connections with the soul is laughable. They directly relate religion to your connection to the soul. And then that's like another version of like the education system, where it's just a conformity structure, so that keeps you away from that. It's like a double back, keeping you away from that. But ultimately, it's about stealing your time. So you think about it, you graduate at 18. They take you away from your parents when you're 5 years old, all the way up until 18 years old, and sometimes earlier than that. And with the jobs, the way the job system is, if you're in after the college, you're into the American dream. And then if you're lucky, in this so-called lucky in this situation, you can have enough money in your American dream to buy a babysitter to take care of your kids while you go to school, so you can, or while you go to work, so your kids can go to a good school. But this is just another layer of separation. You're going deeper into the ego-driven world and trying to get more money, which is just a lockdown of it's like the infrastructure of the entire grid itself is, there's magic written on these bills They got "In God We Trust" on these bills. They got slave masters on these bills. The colonial system is built, is written in here. Like it's the very system of fiat currency itself is self-destructive, and people are worshiping. This is the God. When they're talking about in God we trust, like your God is what provides you food and water and shelter and connection. And this is you need money to get technology, and technology is the new version of evolution. They're even telling you this with the transhumanism movement and all that manipulation of telling you that you evolved from monkeys and then going into Neanderthals and then up into the merging of humanity with technology. And then technology is your new future. And then if you're not with technology, you're not hip, you're not cool. You're like, and if you don't got any money to get technology and shit, and you're extra not cool. So you're not an evolved human being. You're not what it's all about. And that's why they're putting all this coding in the education system and free coding, teaching kids to code, teaching older people how to code, is to get you more ingrained in this idea of evolution and really just like a formalized version of the ego, and more separation from your soul and more time stealing, formalized ego, and no connection with your ancestors or any kind of depth that is beyond there. And the science community inherently is void of an idea of God or the Most High or your connection to a source. When it explains itself coming from the Big Bang, and I was watching a video yesterday about Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about is tired of God. That was the video, and basically that sums it all up. Is the science itself is the anti-God or the anti-Most High. It is a nothingness, a mistake. You are a grand mistake, and you're just evolved here from nothing, and you have to basically worship your slave masters who have created a control grid that you are no less than like 3 layers of realizing is a total trap. And it's so ridiculous in a sense to think outside of this slave master society that even if you talk about it, you're an outsider. Something's wrong with you. You're not an evolved being if you don't have a smartphone, if you don't have like a smart car and all this other stuff. And they make you like it and make you an outsider if you don't conform to it or like it or whatever it is. It's all like a psychological trap of separation and conditioning. And then you got the older generation, like my grandfather and even my parents, who were caught up in like the casino mentality, and they're just like, oh, I'm just gonna live this out, this is just another version of time stealing. And they got every angle covered, like every angle. The kids are locked down with Netflix and chill, and the television and technology, smartphones. The smart generation of colleges is locked down with NASA. The business people are locked down within their own ego and understanding of self, or not understanding of self, but understanding of myself. Right here, it's just all about me and nobody else. And then the religion, the people who are feeling some kind of connection with God, or where they're locked down. A lot of them, a large majority, are locked down with religion, and that version of in between space that is also just another separation from your source, your connection with each other and yourself. And then the people who are in between, kind of like the black sheep of the entire system, even the people who are in the civil rights time frame are locked down with, oh, well, it's not my problem anymore. This is for the kids' generation. The older community is just trying to survive and keep themselves distracted in a space that is just trying to live out their world and do what they can just to be happy. And their versions of happy a lot of the times go back to the fiat currency system. All this is distraction. This is how you trap your own soul to get it locked into this disconnected space of the physical reality, at least on this earth plane experience. And the deepest layer that I can see as of right now is not even knowing like what your what the place is that like you exist on. Like saying this is a ball, this earth plane existence, this physical reality is a ball. It's like these big lies that you don't ask. You only ask questions about space and dinosaurs when you were a kid, and then it's time to grow up. Then you got to get locked into the high school system. You don't want to talk about science or you don't want to talk about dinosaurs and NASA and astronauts in high school, because you're weird. You're like some weird kid. You got to be thinking about in high school. You're thinking about sex and college and graduation and whatever comes on Netflix, and how you're gonna TV shows or what they're telling you to do on Netflix. This is just another version of the public education system. Is the new Netflix. So they got everybody locked down here when you got your cell phones in your hand, and you're a technological evolved human being, so called, and you'll just download in your reality whatever the next show comes on. And this is how the ego gets trapped in that version of time, which is a lot slower than our maximum potential and way further away from your connections with your soul. And for the older generation, I'm seeing like this is the lockdown space of it's like if you're lucky, you can got enough money, you can go to a casino. You can go on a cruise. You can go. You can just travel on this earth plane, thinking it's a ball, and never asking any questions, because your reality, your soul, your experience isn't really. It doesn't really need to go there, like, because you're not vested in that. You're only as your roots only go as deep as what's provided for you. There's no connections with nature. If you you want to go into nature, then even when you go there, you're only being able to experience it from an artificial connection. I mean, your body is getting that. Excuse me. Your body is getting that 100% connection to nature when you're there, but your potential to lock into that space with your spirit, with your soul, is highly compromised when you are seeing yourself as a piece of technology. Or even people, an example of that would be people who go into nature and spend most of their time in nature, feeling like shit because they don't have Netflix, they don't have their technology, or they'd rather be on a cruise ship or in a casino somewhere. So nature is another version of us. As deep as important as it is to connect with nature, with our ancestors and our previous generations that have been still connected with their peoples and the land, you can see how this soul trapping game is very recognizable when you compare it to what was and see currently today what is. It's definitely has an intent to lock you in to a version of reality that is stuck on these artificial masters and artificial demigods, and locked into a separated, conditioned state of mind that is focused on stealing your time, separating your soul, locking you into a control grid. And these are some of the things that keep us from going there. And the biggest lies that are out there are the foundation to it, because we don't ask questions anymore because we've been locked into that conform. This is just an extension of high school. It's just like I said, if you're in high school and you want to talk to your friends about NASA and astronauts and dinosaurs, you're a weirdo. Like, something's wrong with you. You like, stop talking about dinosaurs, man. Like, stop asking questions. Like, something's wrong with you. Like, if you do that in high school, like, if you do that today, something's wrong with you. Like, as an adult, like, it's ridiculous. But that is what the system is about. And this is why it's so difficult to for us to realize that, NASA's been telling fibs. They've been lying for so long, and the very existence of this system of schooling and the scholasticism, the school system, all the way to college, the American dream, the money system, technology, the casino distraction, the cruise ship, the ego distraction, like everything you need. Like, the very nature of that is just like, everything you need is here. You can be on the water forever, and then everything you need is here. Just soak it up. Bless you. And then Netflix is the filler space between all of these. Between it separates you from nature, but it's the filler space, and it also tells you it also downloads the program of the bigger picture fibs. Netflix, if you want to be smart, like if you want to just distract yourself and be in like action or adventure or whatever, you watch a show like that. But sometimes you're in the mood to watch something that is more like an intellectual, so you'll watch something like Planet Earth or the universe, the cosmos, and stuff like that. And that's just another layer of control and locking you into this structure. They'll just tell you more and more lies that separate you more and more from nature and your true connections. Meanwhile, all by expanding the ego and inherently stealing your time and basically trapping your soul. So people live and die stuck in the casino, stuck in the American dream, stuck in a technological experience. And like I said, maybe they came here to do that. I'm not saying either way, but if you are aware of something outside or something that feels outside of this trap, then explore it. So I'll leave it there. And thank you for joining me. Until next time, peace, love, and harmony.